Hey babes, hello, hello, hello. So today I am reviewing, this is the ending of the entire clip of the first officer's body camera. And this is more focused on Dre. It does have snippets of Quick and Amber in it. And I just want to point out, there's not many, but there are some red flags that I caught. I have the full transcript here for the ending part. We already went over those transcripts of Amber, okay? And the 911 phone call and everything. I will try to put all the videos into a playlist, okay? So it starts off the cop asking him what happened. And he says, I saw him this morning, like 3, 4 in the morning. I put him on the sofa because he was asleep. He was snoring and shit. This is how he was asleep. And he showed him a picture. Cop, something is wrong. Does he always sleep like that? Yeah, I put him on the sofa. That's not what he asked. Because he was snoring. He was snoring. He was still snoring. He was asleep. Okay. And I seen he had food in his mouth. And I'm like, how the fuck? You fall asleep with food in your mouth. Red flag. Why? Because you just questioned it. You just questions how do you fall asleep with food in your mouth? That's a red flag. So he was alerted to a red flag. That's one. Okay. Now, actually, I want to dive deeper into that because my question is, how were you able to see food in his mouth? If somebody's laying down, you can't see my mouth. You still can't see my mouth. You can't see my mouth. So how exactly? Because when he does this, he puts his finger up, it says in the back of his mouth. Well, this is alarming. Why? Because in order to see somebody's back of the mouth, your mouth has to be ajar, wide, open, okay? And if you hear snoring, you see his eyes rolled back in his head, and you see his mouth wide open, these are called red flags, okay? For in Dre's eyes, he should have took that as a red flag. How did you see the food in his mouth? How? Anyways, that's a big question, okay? But anyways, is this the food he was eating? Amber looks at the food and Dre looks in the opposite direction, okay? And then Dre just starts talking. Say it was 3, 4 in the morning. Look at this, the cop says. Does he sleep like this? The cop says. He sleeps hard. No, like with his eyes like that. Yeah, he sleep hard. See, my hubby sleeps with eyes open, but they be like this. Like that. Not like this, and not like that. Okay? He says, I would have called somebody if I ain't know. If you ain't know, so you knew. Because anybody else would have said, I would have called somebody if I knew. But he says, if I ain't know. That tells me you knew. Red flag. You know what I'm saying. If I didn't know, I'm sorry, if it didn't look normal. But your 2 sentences ago, you said, how the fuck you fall asleep with food in your mouth? Because that's not normal. You said that. Red flag. I would have been did, but I've seen him sleep like that before. He points to the kitchen floor. On the floor, but I put him on the sofa. I'm the one that dragged and put him right here. Andre, telling him his name. Nah, we was together. And he points upstairs. I woke up and I heard someone snoring. Like my little girl not here. So I just walked around in the house. What does your little girl? He says this 2 times about the little girl not being there. But what does the little girl have to do with you hearing a man snoring? I got right here, and he points to the steps, and I saw him. I pick him up, and I laid him on the couch because he was asleep. But there's no mention of how and when he found the food in his mouth. There's no mention of how and when he took these pictures. Okay, so he's skipping over parts, right? I even tried to wake him up, and he ain't move. Red flag. But I have did that before. He just out. I don't know why. He's so hard. But he just be out. Oh my God. Okay. So then Quick comes over. I saw him like 3 a.m. in the basement walking around and talking. And then he walks off. This is when I move him to the couch. Looking crazy on the floor. I move him. I text him. He texts, when you wake up, I moved you. I woke up, I hear snoring, but my little girl not here. So when I checked the room, I walked around the house and he was asleep. The cop says he was asleep. He was snoring, but he was out. So you seen him looking crazy on the floor, right? You question yourself for how he falls asleep with food in his mouth. You saying he ain't move. These are all red flags. Feel me? He had food in his mouth. I'm like, man, I ain't never seen him fall asleep with food in his mouth. Red flag. He sleeps hard. Yeah, he sleeps hard. Does he take anything to help him sleep? Shakes his head no. But when you lay him down, he was still good? He was breathing? The cop asked. Yeah, he was snoring. So then Quick is walking by and the cop approaches him. What's your name? Do I need to say something? Yeah, because you were here in the house, the cop says. He jumps on the phone. And he says, they took him to the hospital. Was he calling the girl that was downstairs? Like, yeah, grab everything you can, throw that shit in the purse, and get the hell out of Dodge, right? So he don't even want to speak to the cop. You saw him at 3, 4 in the morning? Mm-hmm. And he walks away. The cop is on the walkie-talkie in his car, and they ask him, did you see anything suspicious? And he says, that picture's suspicious. Okay? Cops see Amber leaving in her car. He's telling her not to leave the house yet. She says, I know, his dad just told me. So his dad's in there and his brother, okay? Okay, yeah, but just give it a few seconds. Saying, don't leave yet, okay? Wait like 5 minutes, the cop says. Okay, Amber says, well, you can knock on the door. As she puts her hand in position to pull off in the car. He got it. He's going to get my kids. No, he has my kids. So somebody's going to stay here, okay? Thank you so much. And she pulls off. And the cop goes back to dispatch and says, she wouldn't stay here. I told her to stay, but she wouldn't stay. So I want to speak about a few things, okay? I want to speak about how the heck did you see food in his mouth? Because if his mouth was wide open and that's how you saw the food, this is even more alarming that his eyes are rolled up in the back of his head, his mouth is wide open, and you hear snoring. He's not moving. You drag him to a sofa around 3 in the morning. So my question, which I don't know if anybody's asked this because I'm not watching everybody else's videos, but My question is, how come nobody questioned Dre on what time did he leave? Did he leave at 6:45 with Amber? Well, because we know Amber didn't leave at 6:45. She said she woke up at 6:45, right? But she said she's back at 8:30. So did she leave around 7:30? What time did he leave? Because this is a lot of leaving the house, right? Yeah, you went to go fix an AC in a van or something. I'm assuming a van. It could have been anything. I don't know. But it's also plausible that you could have took cameras, weapons, uh, evidence, mugs, okay, with a D, and an R, and a U, and a G, and an S. You could have removed all that stuff in the morning. Not saying you did, but you could have. It's plausible. But my biggest question is at whatever time you left the house, you didn't notice, because he even, hold on, let me find it. I don't know if I can find it right away. Maybe I should pause you. Hold on. I'm not exactly sure where it is. There's too many papers here. But there was a point in the video where Dre says, yeah, I dragged him from there to here. And he lays on the couch. And when he lays on the couch, he puts his arm in a specific position and said this is how he was laying. So you tell me he's laying on the couch with his eyes rolled up in his head, his mouth wide open, at 3, 4 in the morning, when somebody else said he was walking around in the basement at 3, 4 in the morning. But we'll skip past that part. But when you were leaving the house, you didn't notice that he was still in that exact same position? You didn't notice that? That wasn't a red flag? What do you call it then? You know? Normal? The fact that Amber's saying he's breathing hard, but the side effects of lean is actually to slow your breathing. I'm convinced that, see, the thing is, it's weird, right? Because in interviews, he says he don't use. In one of his things, he says don't use drugs, you know? And I feel like he was clean. So maybe he slipped up and had some lean, right? I don't know if I trust the second baby mama either, because she was like, oh, he had lean and a Xanax. But the Xanax is already in the lean, right? But my thing is, if at 1 o'clock in the morning he had this Xanax and lean, and let's say, God forbid, somebody put Fenty in it, everything would have happened at 1 o'clock in the morning. He wouldn't have been walking around, allegedly, okay? He wouldn't be walking around at 3 in the morning if the Fenty was in that lean. It would have happened instantly. It would have happened at 1 in the morning. But because she's saying he's drinking this lean at 1 in the morning, but he don't fall out until damn near 3, 4 in the morning, tells me that the Fenty was given separate. The fact that the food was never touched and there was no drink there on the counter, it just makes me feel like the Fenty was given separate. They're all acting suspicious. I have to say it. I have to say it because I see it. Nobody wants to stay. Everybody's walking around. Nobody wants to answer cops' questions. You know, it's very vague. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just, there is a lot of red flags that do alert Dre to have called 911. But instead he's taking pictures. Now the picture, people say, oh, you know, my brother would do that to me. Well, none of my family would do that, but I ain't got family, so boom. But my thing is, yeah, it could be because it's brotherly love. It could also be to say, hey, I got the job done. Has anybody checked where any more text messages went? Has anybody checked where everybody left the house, where they went? Was any of this checked? Does anybody care? Or are we just going to chop this up as an accident? How? This is not an accident. He could have been saved. So, I am going to try to do tomorrow a very long session, spiritual session with Quan. Now, my thing is, I usually only do 8 to 10 minutes because it's not healthy for me nor spirit to use up all our energy doing this. But I will do my best to do a very long video just to see every detail we can get. We already did, I think, 4 or 5 spirit box sessions, and you gotta watch that too. That is, he even says fentanyl. Like 2 weeks before the autopsy was released. I asked him, did you take any drugs willingly? He said he had good weed, but he said, what did he say? Like, not willingly, when I asked about any other mind-altering drugs beside the weed. He said not willingly. The fact that his mouth is stuck open and you can see food makes me just feel like, I don't know. Tell me your thoughts. A lot of people are like, oh, let him rest. Oh, let him rest. Wow, wow, wow. And my whole thing is, y'all said that with Matthew Perry. Okay, I said there was 4 to 5 people involved. I said it was a needle that they gave him. I said it all. And then months later, guess what? 4 to 5 people arrested. So, I'm going to keep going because that's what I do. Love you, babes.